Hello! Today I am doing middle grade recommendations for girls. If you're a man with only sons, then I don't know what you're doing here, but I hope you get something out of this video. Obviously, boys can enjoy these books too, but I think these specific ones are better tailored for girls. I started middle grade boy recommendations with a more popular one, so I'm going to do the same here. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. This book follows a girl named Coraline who's kind of fed up with her life, but one day she steps through this magical door and finds an alternate universe much like her own, but in her eyes much better. But the longer she stays there, the more she realizes there's something sinister happening within it. Coraline is one of my personal favorite books. It's definitely a more spookier read if you or your kid are into that. It's a pretty short book, but I think it's a very well crafted story, and it's very creative, and it has a lot of themes surrounding bravery. The only complaint that I personally have about this book is that I don't think Neil Gaiman did a great job portraying Coraline's emotions, but that is my only problem with it. It's an overlookable problem, and it's a fantastic story, but if you don't think you or your kid could handle more spookier things, I would probably stay away from it, because it does have its slightly disturbing bits. I highly recommend, except stay away from the graphic novel. Don't read the graphic novel. If you're going to read it, read the book, not the graphic novel adaptation. It's bad. The next book I have is a less popular one, and it is After Iris by Natasha Ferret. This book follows a girl named Blue who's in a bigger family, and they have a lot of problems, especially in the last 3 years since Blue's twin sister Iris has died. This is another one of my favorite books. I read it a long time ago and I really enjoyed it, and then I reread it recently and I still really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. There are also a lot of things about this novel that make it feel really original and unique. The characters are all really great. It has themes centering around grief. I would recommend this for slightly older ones because there are a few completely innocent things that you probably don't want to explain to young children yet. I do still highly recommend it because it's a very good book and it has a lot of themes that I think are very important. There's also a trope in here that I usually really hate, but I appreciate the way this book did it. The next book is Freaky Friday by Mary Rogers. You probably know what this book is about. It follows a teenage girl named Annabelle who one day wakes up to find herself in her mother's body and has to spend the day doing her mother's daily tasks. This, I think, is a really good story. It's a little dated because it was written in the 70s, but I still think it's a really good book to read. It's very funny and very entertaining. There's obviously an understanding other people moral happening here with a focus on understanding your parents. My one main complaint about the story is that we didn't get to see the mom in the daughter's body. I think that would have made the understanding each other moral stronger and would have also lengthened the book because it's quite a small book and I would have enjoyed a little bit more of it. Also, it mentions that the mother smokes every now and then, so that's a thing to keep in mind before reading this to your kids or to yourself or whatever. The next book is Judy Moody by Megan McDonald. This book follows a young girl named Judy who I believe is basically just trying to keep her life very interesting. Now this book is probably the one targeted to the youngest audience on this list, so I would recommend it for younger kids. I would also specifically recommend it for tomboys because I think they will relate to Judy the most. It's a very fun and kiddish story, so I definitely recommend it. The next books I have is the Everyday Angel series by Victoria Schwab. I have read all 3 books in the series and I loved each one. Throughout the series you follow a guardian angel in training named Aria who needs to help 3 different people in order to get her wings. The series includes New Beginnings, Second Chances, and Last Wishes. These are very good books. They're some of my favorites and I don't think they're talked about enough, which is weird because Victoria Schwab is actually a very popular author, but I guess she's more known for YA and adult books. In each book you see Aria help a different person with a different issue, and I think the morals in all 3 of them are very good and very strong. They're quick and easy to read. They're also very entertaining and very satisfying to me. Victoria Schwab does a very good job of making you care about all of these characters in a short amount of time. My only complaint about the series is that it's not longer, because I actually do really want more books in it. The next book is Harriet the Spy by Louise Fitzhugh. This book follows a young girl named Harriet whose hobby is basically going around spying on people and then writing down everything about them in her notebooks. I read Harriet the Spy a long time ago. It was a really interesting book. It was kind of weird. It's told in 2 parts. The first part sort of has a more focus on family, while the second part has a more focus on friends. I think there are a lot of good themes themes and morals in the story. I think it's a really important read. When I first read it, I think I felt the story was a little disjointed and felt like several stories, but now that I've been flipping through it and thinking about it, I think they come together pretty well. I probably need to reread it myself. I believe that the word damn is used once or twice in here. The next book I have to show is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. Furthermore follows this young girl named Alice who has no color on her. Her hair and her skin and her eyes are all paper white, and her dad has been missing for a while, and with the help of a boy named Oliver, who she doesn't really like that much, she finds out that he's trapped in the world of Furthermore, and they both venture into it to find him. Furthermore is another one of my favorite books. It's a newer favorite. It came out a couple years ago. The cover is a really good representation of the story. It's very fun and whimsical. It would be really fantastic for any Alice in Wonderland fans. It's super creative, and the writing style is very, very nice. It is a really good writing style. Sort of poetic-y and whimsically, but still easy to understand. I highly recommend this one. The next book I have is The Swap by Megan Scholl. This is a Freaky Friday-ish novel. It follows two middle schoolers named Jack and Ellie, who after a simultaneous trip to the nurse's office find themselves in each other's bodies and have to spend the weekend as the opposite gender. This book I also included in my middle grade books for boys video because I think that boys and girls can both equally get something out of this. It's a very funny novel and very interesting as well. It pretty much does what Freaky Friday does, but it's sort of different because it's two people of the same age instead of a mother and daughter, and I think it might do it a little bit better than Freaky Friday even. I will say there is a lot of things about puberty for both boys and girls talked about in this book, so if that's something your kid's not ready for yet, then maybe stay away from this for a little while. The next few books I have is the Magic Repair Shop series by Amanda Marone, which includes the books The Multiplying Menace, The Shapeshifter's Curse, and Master of Mirrors. This series follows a girl named Maggie, and whenever Maggie speaks a wish, it comes true, and one day when she's sent to spend the summer at her grandmother's, she starts finding out some secrets about the old magic shop that her grandfather worked at. I haven't read the series in a very long time, but when I read it, it was like one of my favorite books. It was super fun and super entertaining. I was so disappointed when I found out there were only 3 books. It's just a really fun and kinda lighthearted wizardry tale, full of magic and mystery. There are some parts throughout the series that may be a little bit intense or vaguely disturbing, so if that's not something you or your daughter or whoever can handle, then maybe hold off on this for a year or two. The next book is Small Persons with Wings by Ellen Buram. This book follows a girl named Millie, and when she was really little, she got teased a lot for believing in fairies, and so now she thrust herself in the world of fact and reality, only to be moved away into a house full of fairies by her parents. I thought this book was super creative and very well done. It touches on themes surrounding bullying. I really enjoyed it when I read it, so I think obviously any girl with an interest in fairies would really enjoy this. It does mention Tampax in here, so maybe wait until after your kid knows what that is. The next one I have I'm really super excited about, and that one is Smile by Ryan Telgamer. This is actually a graphic novel memoir about the time that the author, on top of needing braces, knocks out her 2 front teeth and all of the dental drama and middle school drama that happened after that. This was a really fantastic book. It is one of my favorites. It is extremely well done. It has a lot of really strong themes, especially about self-confidence. The art style and the story and the humor all work really well together. The main character is very relatable. Again, there are some points referencing going through puberty. It only does it for girls. It doesn't mention much puberty guy-wise, but it's still a really fantastic book. I think if there's any book on this list you should read, it should be this one. The next book I have is Your Life But Better by Crystal Venezuelas. This book is a choose your own adventure book that starts out with you and your 2 friends entering the mall on a weekend. This is actually a very creatively done choose your own adventure book because at the end of each chapter, instead of you just choosing what to do, you take a short little personality quiz and it tells you where to go based on your score. This was a very fun book to read. I was ridiculously entertained by it when I first read it. I wouldn't say it had too many really good good themes in it, but it is extremely entertaining and interactive with the reader, so it would probably be really good for a middle school girl who is really not into reading. There are a couple sequels which I have read too. The second one's called Your Life But Cooler, and I forget what the third one is called, but they are all very super entertaining, and I really recommend you try them. And finally, the last book I have to show you is Sway by Amber McGree Turner. This book follows a girl and her dad who go on a road trip, and the rule of the road trip is that every time they see a shoe on the side of the road, they pull over to the nearest town and share their magic of sway with those people. Now, this is a really great book, but don't be fooled by my synopsis. This is not a fantasy novel, it's really full-on contemporary, so don't pick it up expecting dragons and mythical creatures or wizardry or anything like that. I do think it was super creative for a contemporary. Like, it was a very eventful and adventurous feeling for a contemporary. It's kind of like a contemporary, but with a little mixture of all other genres in it, and I think it was done really well. It has just the right amount of this and just the right amount of that. It's just really great. It of course has very strong themes, many of them circling around how you can affect other people's lives just by being in them for a moment or being in them for a long time, and appreciating the people that you have in your life. It really is a really fantastic and well done story. I personally need to get on reading more of Amber McGree Turner's works. You really should just go ahead and read it because it is just really good. I really recommend. These are all the books I'm talking about today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope there are a few more books on your radar, and if there are, be sure to like this video and subscribe to see more videos like it. And before I leave, I'm just gonna give a quick shout out to Dane Reeds because he gave me a shout out in one of his latest videos, so thank you for that. I'll have his channel linked down below. You should definitely go check him out. This is all I'm talking about today. Bye. Rah!